Fathers, as your children, as we come before you on this time, this day, oh Lord, that you've given us, I ask that you would speak through me to your people, that your word would fall on good ground, that as we hear your word, we will also be doers of your word. And Holy Spirit, we welcome you on today, and I thank you for allowing me to share what your people need, and that we may grow by it all as well. All right, let's turn to Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse number 1. Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse number 1. We're going to talk about having a self-evaluation today. You know, it's always important to understand where you are. So I'm going to talk about that, having a self-eval. You know, many times we, you know, you have certain jobs periodically throughout the year or what have you. You may have your manager or your supervisors. They give you evaluation, and basically they let you know things that are good, and they let you know things that are good. And likewise, they let you things that need improvement. And based on the evaluation, we determine, you know, if you have a job, based on your evaluation, that can determine many things. It determines how valuable of an employee you are. Good evaluation means you're a good asset to your company or to your team. Likewise, that may set you up for promotions, even pay raises or what have you, but it's always good to have a good evaluation. But on the flip side of that, if you find that you have a negative evaluation, what that means is there's room for improvement. And it's always imperative to know where you stand. It's always good to know where you stand. But today we're going to talk about having a self-evaluation so that we can be honest with ourselves. Yes, I'm doing good here, and I need improvements there. It's always good to evaluate yourself also, not just to wait for someone else to evaluate. All right, so we're on Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. Are we there? Okay, all right. Verse 1 says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged." Verse 2, "For with the judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again." So right here in the first two verses, he's talking about how we are looking at other people, what lenses we're looking at when we analyze or judging someone else. And he tells us, judge not that you be not judged. In other words, make sure that you're not critical of someone else or even other people. And this is something that I tell myself all the time, and many times I even tell my own children. You know, it's fine that you notice things about certain people where they need to improve, and you know, there's some sins that, you know, people do that are very out there. They're very obvious. You don't have to be a believer to see that. There's some sins that, you know, it's obvious, and you see those things. But one thing about it is we don't want to be so entangled and entrapped in what someone else is doing that we fail to realize, what are you doing? Maybe some things that you do is not as obvious. There may be things that, you know, that you're doing that, you know, video camera can't catch it. You know, video camera can't catch what's in this mind right here. You know, the police officer can arrest you based on only what's going on in this mind right here. But that doesn't mean that you're clear just because the sin that you're committing isn't obvious, isn't out there. Y'all follow me?
We got you.
Okay, all right. Verse 3. "And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?" It goes back to what I was saying. Be careful of how critical you are of someone else or other people. You may, you know, many times it's so simple to look at somebody and say, you know, I'm not like that. You know, I don't do this and I don't do that. And to become self-righteous. to become self-righteous of yourself. Be careful. Be very careful of how you analyze other people. Because he says here, I'm going to read this again. He says here in verse 4, and why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but you consider not the beam that is in thine own eye? So in other words, you look at other people with such a fine-tooth comb, you do this, that, this, and that, but you don't realize how obviously you are disobeying the Most High yourself. You see that, man, this person, they offended me, this person, they offended that person, they do this, they do that, but you don't realize that you are disobeying the Most High your own self. You know, you say, man, you know, many times you listen to people talk and, you know, they're critical. They're like, you know, you're going to hell, this person's going to hell, this person, this and that. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, it's one thing to have righteous discernment, you know, based off of, you know, how someone's living their life and based off what the word of the Lord says, you can, you know, you determine what's sin and what's not sin. But what I'm saying is you're so critical, being so critical of other people, even other people that may have offended you. But you don't realize, you know what? You just disobeyed the Most High. Why? You didn't forgive. Or you just disobeyed the Most High. Why? You didn't spend time in the Word like He told you to. Mm-hmm. You disobeyed the Most High yourself. Why? Maybe you didn't praise Him. He told you to bless Him, told you to praise Him, and you're complaining. Mm-hmm. That's disobeying. So we have to be careful in everything that we do. Where do we line up with the Most High? Where is our relationship at with the Most High? And again, our relationship is not dictated by what someone else is doing. Our relationship is dictated by, number one, what did He say? Number two, are you obeying? As simple as that. And many times, you know, you probably said it yourself or have heard this said, you know, I did this because someone else did that to me. You know, I'm this way because of someone else. You know, why'd you do it? Well, he made me do it. You made me upset, or he made me mad. You make me sick. Sometimes we say that. But it's so important to not so much look at other people, but where are you? Where does your life stand when you measure it against the Most High and what He has said? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what someone else has said, what someone else has done. At the end of the day, when we're judged for ourselves, what matters is, what did you do? How did you respond? Where are you at when it comes to obeying or disobeying the Most High? Where are you? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Where am I? We have to analyze ourselves. Where are we? When it comes to fully trusting and fully obeying what He has said, where are we at? Where are you? All right, let's keep going. Okay. Verse 4. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye? Let me start over. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye? And behold, a beam is in your own eye. In other words, when you look at it, okay, if you're disobeying the Most High, you're not doing what He's telling you to do, how can you come and correct someone else? Now, and the thing about having a relationship with the Most High and you're walking with Him, He'll tell you where you are. Now, it's up to us to listen or not, but what He's saying essentially is that you're living in disobedience. You're not following what He told you to do. But you always want to tell somebody else how to do it, someone else how to live right. So in other words, you tell them, hey, you're supposed to be praising the Lord, but you won't do it. Or you tell them, hey, you're supposed to be forgiving, but you won't forgive. Or you say, even the tithes and offering, you're supposed to give your tithe and offering, but you won't give it. You're supposed to be following this, and that, but then you don't do it yourself. And He calls that person a what? A hypocrite. And so it's not so much that you don't teach other people or you don't explain the word to other people, but the thing about it is, make sure that at the end of the day, your life, your words, your actions, they line up with the Most High. Make sure you run a self-eval on your own self. and not always out there. Not always out there. Let's keep going. So we're at let's go to 6. Did I read 5? I read 5, right? 5. Okay, read verse 5. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote that is in thy own eyes. One more time, verse 5. Thou hypocrite. So the person that he calls a hypocrite is basically someone that they're not following what the Most High told them to do, but they're always telling them someone else what to do. He says, first, cast out the beam that is in thy own eye. In other words, make sure that you are lining up with what the Most High told you to do. And then, he says, shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. In other words, make sure you're spending time with the Lord for yourself. Make sure you're feeding yourself first. Then you can help someone else. Make sure you have it first. Make sure you're studying first. Make sure you're following and obeying what he has told you to do, so that you can effectively help someone else. And that's what he's saying here. Make sure you run that self-eval for yourself. You know, remember when I first started talking, I was talking about the manager. You know, in certain jobs you have a manager or supervisor. They evaluate you periodically throughout the year. For some jobs it's multiple times, some jobs maybe once a year. But they evaluate you. But if you think about it, let's say you're being evaluated by your manager, and your manager says, well, you keep coming late to work all the time. But then your manager is always late, on purpose. So let's say your manager is always an hour late every day, or every other day. But then they tell you, you know what, I'm going to dock you because you're late. But then they don't dock themselves. How would you feel? Think about it. You probably feel like, that's not fair. You're late, so how can you call me late?
Exactly.
Or let's say if your manager, they're not following the protocol of the job or their position, but then they dock you for not following it. How would you feel? So as a manager, if I'm gonna grade or evaluate somebody else, I have to make sure I'm following proper protocol myself.
That's right.
And it goes back here to the kingdom. As you're trying to counsel people and as you want to help other people, make sure you have it first.
Right.
Make sure you're following first. All right, let's keep going. Let's go down to 6. We have 6. Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Now, he's not talking about real dogs and pigs here, okay? Because we understand that dogs and pigs, they're animals. They're not following the Most High's word. He's talking about people here. These dogs and the pigs that he's talking about are people that's not following what the Lord says. Now, we talked earlier about our minds, and even now, right now, we're talking about our own minds. Where do we fit? Think about, where do you fit? So he says, you know, don't give what's holy to a dog and a pig. Why? Because they're not going to follow what the Lord told them to do. So if they hear, so he says a dog and a pig is someone that hears what the Lord says and trample under their feet. In other words, they blatantly choose not to obey what the Lord told them. He says, you know, I'll read it again. He says, give not that which is holy unto dogs, and cast your pearls, neither cast your pearls before swine. So in other words, if you have someone that they're just not going to obey, there's nothing you can do for them. If I give you the word and you're just not going to obey, you're just not going to obey. But the thing about it is, where do you stand? Are you that person where you've been hearing what the Lord says, or you know you've been getting counsel and you're choosing not to obey? He said that's a dog and a pig. You hear that? Let's make sure that as the Most High is giving you counsel and is telling you, look, this is what I need you to do. This is where I need you to fall in line. Make sure you follow what he told you. You know, there's a saying that some people say, you know, it's never too late. And they say, you know, it's never too late, it's never too late, it's never too late. It is too late. There comes a point of time in your life where it is too late. After the Most High has instructed you, look, this is what to do, this is what you do, this is what I need you to do. There comes a time when it's too late. And we know that. That's been seen time and time again. The people of Israel, Joshua and Caleb, made it out. It was too late for everybody else because they had chosen not to follow. We look at the flood. Noah, his family made it out. They survived. Everybody else, it was too late. And even in today, there comes a time when it's too late. And you have to evaluate yourself. Where do you stand? Has the Most High been telling you time and time again, look, get this right in your life. Get this right in your life. Make sure you repent. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. When the Most High is speaking to you, follow and obey what he's telling you to do. Make sure, as he's calling you, make sure you answer in obedience. All right, verse 7. He says, ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened for you unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh, it shall be opened. Now, we take verses 7 and 8, and many times what happens is, you know, we apply them to, I want a car, so I'm going to ask for this car, and eventually I get it. I want this house, I want this, I want that. And then eventually, if I keep asking enough, or if I keep believing enough, then all of a sudden, I get it. I've heard that preached so many times where, you ask the Lord, as long as you obey, as long as you trust him, and you have enough faith, or you do this, and you follow these procedures, and all of a sudden, he gives it to you. But if you read up in verses 1 through 6, what was he talking about? Think about what he was talking about here in the first 6 verses ahead of that. He wasn't talking about anything that had to deal with what you want. If you look at what he was talking about what? Obedience to what he had to say. He was talking about your lifestyle. So many times we're so interested in having things our way, having things what we want, failing to realize that, you know what? At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with what I want, what I drive, what the house I live in. It has nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with, did you please the Most High? Was your life pleasing to what he said and what he has told you to do? I was talking to an individual, and the topic of success had, somehow got to talking about success, and their version of success went this way. It was, success is defined as, did I get my children what they wanted? Did they go to the school that I wanted them to go to? Did I provide for them all the things that, I wanted them to have? Did I have all the time that I wanted to spend with them? Basically, success was defined in their eyes of, did they get what they wanted out of life? And provided they got what they wanted out of life, they considered their lives successful. And so, of course I listened to what they had to say. I always listen. And not one time in this person's definition of success did I hear anything about what the Lord wanted. It was always, was life good for my kids? Did I spend time with them? Did I have plenty of money? That was their definition of success. And if you look at many people, that's their definition. I got what I wanted out of life. I did what I wanted to do out of life. Therefore, my life is successful. Or enough people liked me on Facebook or whatever social media outlet you may use. So I'm successful. Or I had a whole bunch of money, then I'm successful. I made it to this platform in life, so therefore I'm successful. But not one time, like I said, did I hear what the Lord wanted for his life. It was always I, me, I. And we have to be very careful that our relationship with the Lord isn't about what I want, what we want, but it's centered and focused on what did he say. So again, like I said, I listened very intently on what he was saying, and my response was, I agree, that I want my kids to have, nice things, and I agree. I wouldn't mind having, millions in the bank. That's fine. But I told them, you know what? Success has nothing to do with how much money I have. Success has nothing to do with what car I drive or what job I have. What it has to do with at the end of the day is the Most High pleased with me. Then I consider myself successful. Because success can be defined by what the world says, or it can be defined according to the Most High way he says. And I told him, yeah, I would like those things. But at the end of the day, I prefer to have what the Most High wants me to have. And if it means that I work here, then I work here. If it means this is my status in life, I'll take it. If that's what the Lord wants me to have. Because I began to tell him, the money has nothing to do with it. My life has nothing to do with that. My job, that doesn't define who I am. What defines me is the Lord pleasing to me or not? Because the thing about it, the money, that goes old. It goes away. The job, one day that's over. The house, after a while, that's over. The car is gone. But what matters? I told him, when my life is over, my car, my house, my job, I can't take none of that with me.
Sure can't.
But what matters is, what did I do to serve the Most High? What matters to me is what will he say to me? What is he going to say to me? When it's just me and him, the house, the car, and all that stuff, that's gone. Can't take it with me. But when it's just me and him, what is he going to say? And that's why I say about this self-evaluation thing here. Because it's so important. Not so much outside and what he is doing and she is doing, but what are you doing? Where does your life line up? Where is it at? And I told him, yeah, those are, I would be lying to you to tell you that, I wouldn't want nice things. And there's nothing wrong with nice things. But at the end of the day, what was the Most High say? And that's something that when you run this self-evaluation of your life, that's something that you have to know for yourself. What is he saying about you? Where are you at? Where are you at? As he told you to forgive, have you forgiven? As he told you to spend time with him, have you spent time with him? Are you spending time with him? As he told you in all things, give thanks. Are you giving thanks? Where's your life at? Because like I said, there's many sins that are obvious. You catch them on a video camera. You're a violent person, that's easy to catch. Murder, that's easy. Stealing, that's easy to catch. But right here, the camera can't catch that. What I mean when I say right here, your mind, mentally. Can't catch it. But many times, that's where it all starts, in the mind. Sins that are exterior to sin, it all really starts in your mind. Most of the time, it's not instant. In other words, when you begin to act out, it's not instant. At first, it's a seed in your mind, and it begins to grow and develop. But even in your thoughts, where are you as it relates to the Most High? Where's your mind as it relates to what he told you to think on? Are you thinking about those things that are true, just, honest, pure, and lovely? Have you done what he told you to do? And you see, these are things that we have to be careful of, where we're not analyzing, look, this person and that person so deeply, and we fail to look right here. And like I said, it's so important. If you want to be successful, number one, follow and obey what the Most High told you to follow and obey. And then we began to have a conversation about, students and other people. And it went this way. Most people, most of your students in here, not going to be an engineer, not going to be the doctor and lawyer. And I said, that's true. Probably right. Most of them won't be engineers and doctors and lawyers. Most of them won't be considered, scholars or what have you. That's fine. But the thing about it is, being a doctor, having that degree, being a lawyer, having that degree, that doesn't equal to success. And kids, make sure you understand that. Even adults. Being an engineer making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, that doesn't equal you're successful. It had nothing to do with it. Successful person is the person that did what the Most High told them to do.
All right.
Not the person who got, the best grades and making $500,000. That's not success. Because some of those same people are the most miserable, most depressed, most suicidal. That has nothing to do with it. What is success is doing what the Most High told you to do. And you never have to feel big or small based on what your job is, what your career is in life. That doesn't make you bigger or smaller or more or less of a person. Is what did the Most High tell you to do? I began to explain, go to tech school and be successful. That's what the Lord told you to do. Be a mechanic. That's what the Lord told you to do. I'd rather, if I'm a mechanic, I'll be the best mechanic and most successful I could be if that's what the Most High told me to do. And that's one thing. That's how you analyze your life. Not based on what other people are saying. And not even based on what you're saying. Because you're not even the judge of your success. It's what did he tell you to do? Where are you in your life? Are you where you're supposed to be? Are you where he told you to be? Then you're fine. Then you're successful. Then you're pleasing to him. And it's so very important that our barometer or thermometer for life is not what other people have to say. And it's not based on judging ourselves based on what the world told us that we had to do and what we had to be. It's all based on what he has told you to do. Are you following? All right, let's keep going. Verse 8. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Verse 9. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Verse 12, therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Now again, he begins to go on to asking and receiving, and he also begins to talk about how you're dealing with your brother and how your sister, how you deal with other people. And again, your relationship, the way you treat people, even in that, the Most High requires us to judge ourselves. Even in that, he requires us to analyze. How do you treat other people? Are you mean to them? Are you snappy to them? Are you friendly? Do you treat people the way the Most High told you to treat them? And that goes with everybody. Because many times it's easy to treat people nice that are nice to you. There's some people, it's just real easy to be good to. It's simple. Because they're good to us. But even you analyze your life. How do you treat people that's difficult? How do you treat people that you'd rather not hang around? And even in that, analyze yourself. What is the Most High telling you about that? You know, I'm a teacher. I deal with, you know, students every day. Some of my classes love to teach them. Some, honestly, is very challenging. Some, you know, some students are easy to teach, and some, you know, I have to be very patient. But the thing about it is, even in that, even as a teacher, the Most High requires me to judge myself. Did I do what he told me to do? At the end of the day, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, did I do what he told me to do? And that's one thing, again, the Most High requires us to do. Judge yourself, even you students. How do you treat other students? How do you, brother and sister, how you treat them? Because if we say that we are his children, we have to obey him, not in some things, but in all things. In all things. And again, you run that self-evaluation, and the reason why you do it is because, as we were saying earlier today in the service, we want to be pleasing to the Most High. And the thing about being pleasing to him is he lays it out very plainly how to do it. It's not, being pleasing to him is not a mystery. It's not something that we got to try to figure it out, but he lets it be known plain how to please him. All right, let's keep going. Verse 13. He says, enter ye at the straight gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. And few there be that find it. In other words, what he's saying is, it's very popular to be wrong. It's very popular and easy to be sinful. It's very popular and easy to not please the Most High. That's simple. That's easy. You know, something I tell my students all the time when they start complaining and, you know, they tell me, you know, Miss Williams, I don't feel like it, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this. I say, look, man, that's easy. You sitting here, you're failing, you're barely doing what you're supposed to do. That's simple. Anybody can do that. Anybody can fail, just don't do anything. That's simple. And I tell them, look, you can do the work, but you got to work for it. It's not automatic. It's not automatically you're going to do well. You got to work for it. And the same thing with the Lord. Anybody can be mispleasing to the Most High. Anybody can disobey the Most High. It's simple. Just don't do what he tells you to do. Do what you want to do, and you're walking in that broad way. That's simple to do. But he says, straight and narrow is the way that leads to what? Life. So if you want to really be pleasing and have eternal life, you have one choice and one choice only. Do what the Most High told you to do, and that's it. And there's very few people that's willing to do that. Why? Because it's easy to do wrong. Being sinful, that's easy. And most people would rather take the easy way out. If you be honest, and even be honest with yourself, and you just look at your own life, most of the time we would rather take the easy way out. Just take the easy way. Do what's most convenient. But he said that's a real broad way to do that. It's a real broad way to take the easy road out, to be mispleasing to the Most High. Many are like that. He says many. And let me read this again, 14. He says, because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Life. What does life define that in the word? Obedience to the Lord. There's very few. And you just take time and analyze broad and few. Straight and broad. Just analyze those things. To really do what the Most High told you to do, most people will not do it. Now think about it. Most people don't want to do it. And so what that does is, now we stop thinking about most people, but you think about yourself. Your flesh, it don't want to obey. But then you have to tell yourself what you want to do. Are you going to be a person that disobeys, or are you going to be the person that obeys? Make your choice. To obey and to walk in the straight pathway, there's only one thing you can do, which is obey what he told you. Now, if you want to be like everybody else, you go ahead and do what you want to do. It's real simple. But he gives us that choice that we have to make. And I tell my athletes, the track athletes, this. Look, everybody, you run a race, everybody's fast, everybody's strong, but that had nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, who wants it the most? At the end of the day, who wants to work the hardest? At the end of the day, who wants to be the champion? It's real simple. And I tell them, you get tired. We all tired. Everybody's tired. Now, who wants it the most? Who's willing to work for it? And see, the thing about obeying the Most High is this. You got one choice to make. One correct choice to make. It's easy. It's not multiple choice thing. It's not A, B, C, D, or D, or E. None of that. It's just one thing he tells you to do is obey and follow what he told you. And again, run that self-eval. Where in your life is he telling you, look, I need you to come up higher. Look, I need you to let that go. Look, I need you to repent from this. I need you to walk this way. No other way. And he'll tell you, make it plain and simple. And the thing about it is, why does he tell us which way to go? Why is he telling us, look, do this, do that? Why is he telling us this? There's one thing. He wants you to live. That's it. He wants you to have life. That's why he tells you certain things that he tells you. It has nothing to do with making you miserable. He's not here to make you miserable. He's here because he wants you to live. But the thing about it is, it's been publicized and we've been lied to so much that, it's almost popular not to do what the Most High tell you to do. It's almost been popularized that, just do what you want to do. But it doesn't work that way. Make sure you follow, trust, and obey what he has told you to do. Simply. And run those self-evals, not just today, but every day of your life. Where do you stand? Are you obeying or are you not? Are you trusting or are you not? You either in or you're not. He makes it real simple. Okay, let's keep going. 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. And so again, we look at this. False prophet, easy to discern. All you do is look at their life. You look at their message. Did it line up with the word? But then we can move on from false prophets and look at ourselves. Look at decisions that you're making. The decisions that you're making, you'll know if the Most High told you to do it or not. If it brought life, if you made a decision that he told you to do, it brings life. You make a decision he told you not to do it, it brings what? Death. Real simple. It's real simple. Analyze the fruit, even your own personal fruit. What do you bear? In other words, what is the results of your life? What's happening in your life? You think about your mind. Here's how you know if you have your mind where it's supposed to be on the things that he told you to think of or not. Are you fearful? That's not of the Lord. That means the mind is not right. Are you worried and stressed and depressed? That means your mind is not where it needs to be. Is your mind at peace? That means you're doing good. It's real simple. Look at your fruit. And that's something you can do for yourself also. Look at your fruit. Analyze. Where's my mind at? Where's my mind on a daily, constant basis? Where is it? Because one thing about it is if you know that if you're stressed, you're fearful, you're worried, you're depressed, that means your mind isn't where it needs to be. So that means somewhere you're out of order with the Most High. You follow me? And it's real simple. He makes it real plain and simple. Analyze yourself. Analyze yourself. Run the self-eval. Even mentally, run it. Because again, at the end of the day, our responsibility is to make sure that we are pleasing to the Most High. Let's keep going. 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work what? Iniquity. That's mental. Now, so he goes on to say, okay, when it's all said and done, many will say to him, Lord, I prophesied, I did this, I did that. And it was all for you. I did it for you. But then the Lord says, you know what? I don't know you, and I never knew you. Why? Because you didn't run that self-eval. You were never pleasing to me. You never did what I told you to do. He said, they say, well, I prophesied. But what about the prophecies that I gave all these people? What about these prophecies? What about these miracles that I did in your name? And you think about, well, you would think that someone that's doing miracles and prophesying would be pleasing. But it goes back to what I was telling you about the engineer and other careers and the career that the Lord told you to do. Well, please understand this. Prophesying, working miracles, doing all these things, and you say it's in the name of the Lord, if he didn't tell you to do it, it's still not worth it. If he didn't tell you to do it, it's still not beneficial to you. If he didn't tell you to do it, he's still not pleased with you. Why? Because he says this, you worker of what? Iniquity. In other words, your mind still wasn't right. Yeah, you worked all these miracles, but mentally you weren't serving me. You didn't do it for me. You just did it in my name. But you didn't do it because I told you to do it. And that's the thing. Are you doing what he told you to do? Notice what these people said. I've done all these works, what? In your name. But they never said, I did what you told me to do. They just said, I did it in your name. You think about it. Why do you do what you do? Is it because the Lord told you? Or is it because you just think it's something good to do, so I'm just going to do it because everybody else does it? Remember, he talked about this broad way, right? The broad way means you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. You can even prophesy and still be in the broad way that takes you to hell and destruction. You see that? You can work miracles and still be in the broad way. The broad way has nothing to do with preaching and teaching and miracles and prophecy and all these things. And even using the name of the Lord has nothing to do with that. I mean, the straight way has nothing to do with those things. It has everything to do with where you following the Most High. Where you following him. Where you following him. Now you think about it, okay, so these prophecies and miracles, where they come from then? If the Most High wasn't pleased with it, how in the world did they get to do it then? Where did it come from? And so understand this. There's two masters we can serve. It's the Most High, Yahuwah, or Satan. We serve either one. There's two paths that we can take. One that brings to death, broad. One that brings life, narrow. Please understand this. And this is why I was talking about the success deal. you would think that a miracle worker and all these things would be successful to the kingdom because they work miracles. You would think that. But then when you really take time and analyze what the Most High is saying, you realize that success is only, and life is only based on what the Most High told you to do. You would, because what happens is, many times in our society, we take things that look big. You take big works and things that, seem to be a great work, and you begin to elevate that person. And with the Most High, that has nothing to do with it. Because understand this, even Satan himself can work miracles. He did it. We find many examples of that in the Bible. Think about Moses. It happened. Yes, and even Satan himself can have people that can tell you stuff about yourself. That happens too. Mm-hmm. Even at times he can work miracles. He can do, supernatural things. Everything that's supernatural don't come from the Lord. Please understand that too. And we see it right here. Success has nothing to do with a bunch of people seeing you. Success has nothing to do with, you doing things that the world calls great. Because what the world calls great, if the Lord didn't call it great, it's not great. And we have to understand that. And don't ever belittle yourself as if, just because the world doesn't see you as great, then you think you're not great. That has nothing to do with it. It's what the Most High say about you. Because here, all these people, notice how many people he said. He said many. Many means a whole lot of people are thinking that they're doing what the Most High told them to do. There's a lot of people that are doing things and they think that they're doing it in the name of the Lord, and the Lord is pleased with them, and he's not. He says many. Let's read it again. So we understand this. He says 22. What does he say first? 22, first word.
Many.
Many. See that? Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And I will profess to them, what? I never knew you. You see that? Mm-hmm. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. You see. He says, we done many wonderful works. Many works for you. I did it for you. But he said, I don't even know you, though. Now, you think about it. Just take time and think about what's going on. Many people are saying, Lord. And when you say Lord, that means, look, you're my master, and I'm following you. I've done all these works for you, wonderful works for you. And then you have the Lord saying, I don't even know you. Matter of fact, I never knew you. You think about that. You think that you're giving someone something. You think that you're serving someone and that you're giving them something and you're doing something for them. And then that person tell you, I never even knew you. You see that? It's like they have no credit. You have no credibility with the Lord. And so, be careful. Analyze yourself. Just take time, analyze your life. And here's why the Lord he said he never knew them. Your iniquity, your heart wasn't right. Mm-hmm. This whole time, your heart wasn't right. The whole time. Mm-hmm. And he didn't even say a few people. He said many are like that. Mm-hmm. And many will be that way. I never knew you. And that's why I say, you run that self-eval. Mm-hmm. What is your life? What are you doing? Are you doing what the Most High has told you to do? Are you doing that? Because it works this way too. Now remember, he says it's two paths, broad and straight. If you're walking the straight and narrow, in other words, I'm obeying what the Most High told me to do. If he told me to repent, I repent. I make sure I don't do that. I follow, I obey. Now when you're following him, guess what? The works that you do for him, it counts. When you are a true servant of the Most High, you do what he tells you to do, guess what? The sacrifices and the work that you have done for him, it counts. It benefits. And he remembers it. Because I don't want you to feel like, nothing that I do is ever right. No, if you are a servant of the Most High, what you do for him is beneficial. And what you do for him, you do get rewarded for what you do for him. But it's only a few that's going to get awarded for what they've done. You think about it. It's only a few. And the thing about it is, if you want to be a part of the few, it's real simple. Just obey. That's it. Just obey what he tells you. To be a part of the few, just obey. Just make sure you obey. All right, let's keep going. 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and what? Doeth them. I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. So, again, he gives two choices, foolish and the wise. When you hear what the Most High tells you to do and you don't obey, he calls you what? Foolish. When you obey what he tells you to do, he calls you wise. And if you notice, even those that are obedient, it talks about the storms and the wind blowing against their house, but guess what? It doesn't fall. In other words, yes, you're going to be tested. As you follow the Lord, you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. You're going to go through things. Of course you will. But the thing about it is you won't fall, though. In other words, as long as you trust and as long as you obey and you follow what he has told you to follow, he will make sure that you stand. He will make sure that his word comes to pass in your life. So again, that's just to encourage you. Do that self-eval. And when you find areas in your life that doesn't line up, just repent and get it right. It's simple. Please, please don't be a part of the many that walk in that broad way, that think that they're serving the Lord, but they're wasting time. Just think about it. You wasted time. However many years you had on the earth, you thought you were serving them, and then all of a sudden you realize, no, I wasted time. I served him, and he don't even know me. Wasted time. But you don't have to be in that category. And you know this right here. He gives you the choice. As you read the last few verses we read, we have a choice. To be wise or foolish, we got the choice. We have a choice. And so no matter where you find yourself in life, no matter how you've grown up, once you hear the word, you have a choice of what you do. The choice is yours. The choice had nothing to do with what someone else did. We talked about pointing the finger and looking at analyzing someone else's life. The choice had nothing to do with them. The choice is yours. How will you respond to it? How will you obey? It's your choice. It's your choice. And again, yeah, you're going to get tested. You will get tried. But guess what? You still got a choice to make. Are you going to obey? Or are you going to take the easy route and just do what everybody else did? That's simple. And again, it's not hard to do what everybody else is doing. It's simple. Just do what you want to do. It's easy. But now, it takes a bona fide believer to stand and say, you know what? I'm walking straight and narrow. I'm not going anywhere the Lord did not tell me to go. But we can do it. You can do it. I can do it. But it takes dedication, though. It takes a self-eval. And the things that he's ordered you to do, just do them. Just do what he tells you to do. And today, if you don't know the Most High as your Lord and Savior, we take time now to invite you to make the best decision of your life. That is to repent, to turn from doing things your way, and to do it His way. And if you're ready to make that decision, to say, Father, I ask that you forgive me of my sins. I ask that you save me, that you heal me, and that you deliver me. I give you my life so that I can live for you. All is well. All is well. And if you prayed that prayer, you made the best decision in the first step in your salvational process. The next thing you want to do is to get a Bible. And you want to start reading in the first 4 Gospels. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because it'll teach you about your Lord and Savior. Also, you want to get in the church so that you can learn more. We're here in Douglasville, Georgia, the Salt and Light Church. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you out. If you're not in the area, or if you need help to get a Bible, give us a call. We'll make sure that we can supply you with a Bible and even aid you in your search for a church home. The vision of the Salt and Light Church is to see mankind become productive in every area of their life, so that we, the body of Christ, may have a positive effect on our society through the Most High, Yahushua.